Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're diving deep today into some seriously fun ways to learn English.
Outside the classroom.
Exactly, outside the classroom. And we're basing this whole deep dive on
Insights.
on insights from a really cool YouTube channel called DEP Daily English Podcast.
They have so many creative tips.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing how many ideas they have.
Yeah, it's really inspiring.
Okay, so first up,
Movies.
movies and TV. This is advice we've all heard.
So many times.
Right. Like, we all know this one, but, why? What makes movies and TV so good for language learning?
It's all about immersion.
Okay.
When you're watching a film or a TV show,
Uh-huh.
you're surrounded by authentic English.
Yeah, you're hearing real people talk.
Exactly. So you're exposed to natural pronunciation,
Okay.
the rhythm of everyday speech.
Intonation.
Yes,
Wait,
intonation.
all that good stuff.
Exactly.
But that sounds kind of intimidating, honestly.
Especially for beginners.
Yeah. Like, for someone just starting out, it's overwhelming.
DEP Daily English Podcast has a great tip for that.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Start with a movie you already know,
Okay.
one you've seen before in your native language.
Oh, that's smart.
And comedies are a good choice
Makes sense.
because you already know the story.
Yeah, you can relax and just focus on the English.
Exactly.
And what about subtitles?
Well, subtitles are fantastic.
But, like, are they a crutch?
Think of them as training wheels.
Okay.
Start with subtitles in your own language.
And then,
Gradually switch to English subtitles as you get more comfortable.
yeah, that's a good strategy.
Yeah, it's like a gradual transition.
Okay, I love that. Now, on to music.
Yes.
I'm a huge music fan, and honestly,
Me too.
it's helped me so much with my English.
Music is incredible for language learning.
But why? What's actually happening in our brains?
It's engaging multiple parts of your brain at once.
Okay.
Rhythm and melody help with pronunciation.
Yeah.
Syllable, stress, intonation,
It all starts to make sense.
and repetition. You hear the same words and phrases over and over again.
Oh my gosh, those earworms.
Exactly. You're learning without even realizing it.
But what about when a song has words I don't know?
Look them up.
That's what I do.
It's like a vocabulary scavenger hunt.
But sometimes the language is so informal.
That's a good thing.
Really?
You're learning slang and colloquialisms.
Oh, okay.
It makes your English sound more natural.
Less like a textbook.
Exactly. Now let's talk about something a bit quieter.
Reading.
Reading.
I love reading.
It's a fantastic way to expand your vocabulary.
And improve your grammar.
Absolutely. You're exposed to different writing styles.
But isn't it tough for English learners?
It can be if you start with something too difficult.
Like Shakespeare.
Maybe not Shakespeare right away.
Uh-huh.
Start with something enjoyable.
Okay.
Children's books, graded readers.
What are graded readers?
They're books specifically written for English learners.
Oh, that makes sense.
You can also try blogs or articles about topics you're interested in.
So find something you genuinely enjoy reading.
Exactly.
Okay.
It keeps you motivated.
Motivation is key. DEP Daily English Podcast also talked about journaling.
Ah, journaling.
I'll admit, I'm kind of intimidated by that.
It doesn't have to be scary.
Okay.
It's a private conversation with yourself.
Okay.
No pressure for perfect grammar or anything.
Just let the words flow.
Exactly. Get comfortable expressing your thoughts in English.
I like that perspective.
Hmm.
All right, moving on to something more playful.
Word games.
Word games. Scrabble crosswords.
Those are classics.
They're so fun, it doesn't even feel like studying.
And they're incredibly beneficial.
Ugh.
Expanding your vocabulary, improving spelling.
Okay.
You also start to understand word connections and different meanings.
So it's not just about memorizing words.
It's about understanding how to use them.
This next tip I thought was a bit strange at first.
Oh, really? Which one?
Labeling household items in English.
Oh, that's a great one.
Does it actually work?
It's surprisingly effective.
How?
It's all about passive learning.
Okay.
You see those labels every day.
So you're constantly exposed to English words?
Exactly, and in a natural context.
So it's like creating an immersive English environment.
Right, in your own home.
I love that idea. It's like turning your house into a giant English textbook.
Exactly.
Okay, we've talked about reading, listening, writing, but what about speaking?
The most challenging one for many learners.
I know, it can be so nerve-wracking.
DEP, Daily English Podcast, says the key is to just start.
Just start talking.
Even if it feels scary.
Easier said than done.
But it gets easier with practice.
Any practical tips for practicing speaking outside of a classroom?
One simple method is reading aloud.
Okay.
Read anything. A book, an article, even a list of vocabulary words.
Out loud.
Yes, out loud.
Yeah.
It helps you practice pronunciation and fluency.
Oh, that makes sense. And it doesn't require another person.
Exactly. You can do it anywhere, anytime.
What about conversations?
You can practice those too.
With?
yourself.
What do you mean?
Have imaginary conversations in English.
Like in my head?
Yes. It might sound silly,
A little bit.
but it helps you rehearse different scenarios.
Practice different expressions.
And you can talk to your pets in English.
Haha. I've totally done that.
It all counts as speaking practice.
Anything to get those words out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And DEP Daily English Podcast also mentioned conversation groups.
Oh, yeah. Those can be intimidating.
But they're incredibly valuable.
Okay. What would you say to someone who's nervous about joining a group?
Remember, everyone is there for the same reason.
To practice English.
Exactly. It's a supportive environment.
And people of all levels are welcome.
From beginners to more advanced speakers.
So it's more about communication than perfection.
Absolutely. It's a chance to connect with other learners.
And make new friends.
And there are online options, too.
Oh, that's great for people who can't make it to in-person meetings.
You can find groups on Facebook Meetup language exchange websites.
Lots of choices.
Now let's talk about language learning apps.
Oh, yeah. Those can be overwhelming, too. So many to choose from.
DEP Daily English Podcast recommends looking for specific features.
Like what?
It should focus on all 4 language skills.
Reading, writing, listening, speaking.
Exactly. Some apps neglect speaking and listening.
And those are so important.
Also consider your learning style.
Okay?
Do you prefer structure or flexibility?
I think a balance of both is good.
And look for personalization features.
Personalization.
Some apps tailor the lessons to your specific needs.
Oh, wow. Like a personal tutor?
Exactly.
Oh.
But let's be realistic.
Time management.
People are busy.
How can we fit language learning into our already packed schedules?
DEP Daily English Podcast suggests micro-learning.
Micro-learning.
Breaking down your study time into smaller chunks.
Like 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there?
Exactly. It's all about consistency.
Okay, so instead of trying to find a huge block of time.
Just find little pockets throughout your day.
And use those for English practice.
Exactly. Okay, are you ready for one final resource?
I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
YouTube.
YouTube.
It's often overlooked, but it's a gold mine.
So language learning.
Yes.
How?
It's free. You have access to tons of educational content. English teachers, language enthusiasts, native speakers.
Wow.
You can find videos on any aspect of English you can imagine.
But how do you even begin to navigate all that content?
DEP Daily English Podcast says start by identifying your needs.
Okay.
What are your goals? What do you want to learn?
Then search for channels that align with those goals.
Exactly.
And you can pause, rewind, rewatch, use subtitles.
It's all about learning at your own pace.
I love that YouTube gives you so much control.
It's an incredible tool.
Well, everyone, that brings us to the end of part 1 of our deep dive.
Into fun and easy ways to learn English.
We've covered a lot, but there's so much more to explore.
We'll be back in part 2 with even more tips and insights from DEP Daily English Podcast.
So stay tuned. And until then, happy learning.
Happy learning. Welcome back, everyone. Ready for more English learning fun?
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited to dive back in.
Great.
You know, something's been on my mind, though.
Oh, what's that?
I used to be so scared of making mistakes.
Ah, the fear of speaking.
Yeah, like I would get so hung up on trying to speak perfectly.
I think a lot of learners struggle with that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's incredibly common.
But it held me back so much.
DEP Daily English Podcast actually talks about that.
Me too.
Yeah, they emphasize that mistakes are actually good.
Good. How can mistakes be good?
Think of them as learning opportunities.
Okay.
When you make a mistake, it shows you what you need to work on.
I guess that makes sense.
It's like learning any new skill.
Right.
Remember when I first started learning to play the guitar?
Oh my gosh, so many wrong notes.
Exactly. But every mistake helped me improve.
I can see that.
So instead of being afraid of making mistakes,
Embrace them.
embrace the mistake.
Use them as stepping stones.
I like that. Okay, so mistakes are good, but how do you actually get over that fear?
It's about finding a comfortable space to practice,
Okay.
like a conversation group.
Those can be intimidating, though.
But they're usually very supportive environments.
Really?
Yeah, everyone's in the same boat, learning and making mistakes together.
Exactly. You can laugh about it, help each other out.
No judgment.
Exactly. And remember, most native English speakers are really understanding.
They are.
Yeah, they appreciate the effort you're making.
That's good to know. DEP Daily English Podcast. Also mentioned language exchange partners.
Oh, yeah, those are fantastic.
Okay, exactly.
It's basically a language buddy.
Okay.
Someone who speaks the language you're learning,
Uh-huh.
and they're learning your native language.
Oh, so you help each other.
Exactly. You practice together, you learn from each other.
And you can make new friends.
Absolutely. It's a win-win.
Okay. I like that. Speaking of win-win situations.
Language learning apps.
Yes. Those were super helpful.
DEP Daily English Podcast had some great advice for choosing an app.
Like, what should we look for?
Make sure it focuses on all 4 skills.
Reading, writing, listening, speaking.
Exactly. Some apps are great for vocabulary and grammar,
But they don't really help with speaking or listening.
which are crucial for fluency.
Right. It's not just about knowing the rules.
It's about being able to actually use the language.
Okay, so all 4 skills, check.
What else?
Learning style.
Yes. Consider your own preferences.
Some people like structure, others like flexibility.
An app should fit your learning style.
What about personalization?
Oh, that's a good one.
Some apps can adapt to your level.
Exactly, and they can provide tailored lessons.
It's like having a personalized tutor.
Right in your pocket.
This all sounds amazing, but time.
Management is key.
I know so many people struggle with this.
Well, life is busy.
How can we possibly find time to learn a language?
DEP Daily English Podcast has a solution.
I'm listening. Microlearning.
Again, we talked about that in the last part.
It's that important.
Okay, I get it. Microlearning is magic.
It's not magic, but it's pretty effective.
So remind me how it works.
You break down your study time into smaller chunks.
Instead of trying to find an hour for studying,
Find 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there.
and just be consistent. Exactly. Little by little, those minutes add up.
Okay, I'm convinced microlearning is the way to go.
Now, speaking of valuable resources,
Let's talk about the YouTube channel, Dan.
YouTube. It's a treasure trove for English learners.
Okay, break it down for me. What makes YouTube so great?
First of all, it's free,
Free is always good.
and you have access to a massive library of content.
From.
English teachers, language enthusiasts, native speakers from all over the world.
Okay, that's pretty impressive.
You can find videos on any topic imaginable.
Wow.
Grammar pronunciation, vocabulary, idiom, slang, you name it.
But it's so overwhelming. Where do you even begin?
DEP Daily English Podcast suggests starting with your needs.
Okay.
What do you want to learn? What are your goals?
Then.
Search for channels that align with those goals.
So if I want to improve my pronunciation.
Find channels that focus on pronunciation.
Makes sense.
And don't forget about the interactive features.
Like who?
You can pause, rewind, rewatch, use subtitles.
So you're in control of your learning.
Exactly. Learn at your own pace and in a way that suits you.
I love that YouTube gives you that flexibility.
It's a truly amazing resource.
Okay, so we've talked about apps, YouTube, microlearning, but I have a challenge for you.
Oh, a challenge. Bring it on.
Think about everything we've discussed so far.
All the tips and resources.
What resonated with you the most?
That's a tough one. There have been so many great ideas.
I know, right? But what really stood out for you?
I think for me, it's the emphasis on making language learning enjoyable.
Yeah, it shouldn't feel like a chore.
It should be something you look forward to.
Absolutely. So your challenge for this week,
Is.
find one thing that makes learning English fun for you.
And do it.
Yes. Make time for it, even if it's just for a few minutes.
What about you?
I think my challenge will be to try out a new language learning app.
Oh, fun. Which one are you thinking of?
I'm not sure yet. I need to do some research, but I'm excited to explore.
That's the spirit.
What about everyone listening? What's your challenge for this week?
Share your ideas with us on social media.
We'd love to hear from you.
And remember, you're not alone in this journey.
There's a whole community of English learners out there.
Supporting each other and celebrating successes.
We'll be back in part 3 with even more inspiration from DEP Daily English Podcast. Until then, happy learning.
Happy learning!
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive.
Into fun and easy ways to learn English.
It's been such an interesting journey so far.
I know, right? So many great ideas.
What's been your favorite part?
That's a tough one.
I know there's been so much to unpack.
I think for me, it's the reminder that learning English should be fun.
Oh, absolutely. It shouldn't feel like a chore.
Exactly. It should be something you enjoy.
Something you look forward to.
And speaking of looking forward to things,
Did you try the micro-learning challenge?
the one you gave me,
Yeah. I'm curious how it went.
I did try it. And I have to say,
Yeah.
I was surprised by how much I could actually fit in.
Really?
Yeah, even with my busy schedule.
What did you do?
I listened to a podcast while I was walking my dog,
Oh, that's a good one.
and I reviewed flashcards while waiting for an appointment.
See little pockets of time.
Exactly. And you know what? It didn't even feel like studying.
That's the best part.
It just felt like I was incorporating English into my day.
Making it a part of your life?
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of practical stuff.
Tips, resources, strategies.
Yeah, but DEP Daily English Podcast also emphasized something else.
The mental side of language learning.
Mindset.
Motivation.
All that good stuff.
It's so important.
I know. I used to get so discouraged when I first started learning English.
Oh, tell me about it. I remember.
Those moments of self-doubt.
Feeling like you're not making progress.
Or comparing yourself to others.
It's so easy to fall into that trap.
But DEP Daily English Podcast reminded me of something crucial.
What's that?
Mistakes are okay.
They are more than okay. They're essential.
Part of the process.
Every mistake is a learning opportunity.
I know. It's hard to remember that sometimes.
It is, especially when you're feeling frustrated.
But it's so important to be kind to yourself.
And to celebrate the small wins.
Yes. Those little victories can keep you going.
Like finally understanding a grammar rule.
Or having a conversation without feeling totally lost.
It's all about progress, not perfection.
Speaking of support, DEP Daily English Podcast also talked about community.
Yes. Surround yourself with other learners.
It makes such a difference.
It's like having a team of cheerleaders.
People who understand what you're going through.
And there are so many ways to connect with other English learners.
Online forums, language exchange groups, social media.
It's amazing how many options there are.
So find your tribe. Find your people.
Because you're not alone on this journey.
Well, everyone, that brings us to the end of our deep dive
into fun and easy ways to learn English.
We hope you've enjoyed exploring these ideas with us.
And that you feel inspired to keep learning and growing.
Remember, learning English should be an adventure.
Not a chore.
So embrace the journey, celebrate the small wins.
And never stop exploring.
Happy learning, everyone.
Happy learning.